Hello Hampton 4th grade, this is Miss Vance. We are continuing on with our decimal lessons. Today we're going to look at comparing and ordering decimals. And again, I need you to remember this is where your place value chart comes in handy so you can put your decimals into the chart when you line them up. So look, one way we can compare and order decimals is by drawing a picture. We have a model. We have 4/10. Here is a model of 4/10, and here is a model of 4/10. They're not the same size, so we're not comparing the same thing. These models are the same size, so that means our models are exactly 4/10. And the other way that we would compare, instead of just drawing models, because sometimes drawing models would take us a long time, we can line up our decimals by the decimal point. Remember, we can put zeros after and it's not going to change. And so as long as we line up our numbers by the decimal point, we can see that it is the same size. So let's look at our first example. It says less than, we're going to use less than, greater than, or equal to compare 3/10 and 6/10. Of course, our whole model is one whole. We can draw the different model sizes. That is 3/10 and 6/10. And we can see that more of 6/10 is shaded, so we know that 6/10 is bigger than 3/10. We can also line up our decimal points and compare this way. And 6/10 is bigger, so our solution is 3/10 is less than 6/10. Let's look at our next example. We're still using the grids. We have 24 hundredths and 8/10. 800ths, excuse me. And we can draw them in as we have here. We can tell that 24 hundredths is bigger than 800ths. Again, you can line them up by your decimal point. And we compare the first number. 2 is bigger than 0, so we know 24 hundredths is bigger than 8/10 or greater than 8/10. So let's order the decimals. We have 35 hundredths, 45 hundredths, 42 hundredths, and 38 hundredths. We're going to order them from least to greatest. So we're going to put them in our place value chart. We've lined them up by the decimal point, and we're going to start here. Well, we have 3 and 3, so those are going to be the smallest. So these two are going to be out of contention. So we're going to go to the next number. We have a 5 and we have an 8. So we know 5 is smaller than 8, so that is going to be our smallest number, 35 hundredths. We know this one is second. We're going to cross those out because we use them. And now we're at the fours. We have a 5 and a 2. We know the 2 is smaller than 5, so 42 hundredths would be next. And last is 45 hundredths. It's just like we do with whole numbers, but since we just have to be aware that the decimal point is there and it does make a difference. So in our solution at the bottom, we lined them up correctly and we found the correct answer. Here's another example where we're going to have to do the coloring for ourselves. We're going to draw models. We're not going to draw the models. We have the models here. And it says to represent each decimals. We're comparing 27 hundredths, 35 hundredths, 3/10ths, and 25 hundredths. And this time we're going from greatest to least. That makes a difference. So we're going to use the same size 10 by 10 grid, each representing one whole. For 27 hundredths, 27 parts are going to be shaded in. This is a lot like we do for our problem of the day. And for 35 hundredths, 35 parts are shaded in. A little darker. And for 3/10ths, we're going to have 30 shaded in. And this one is going to have 25 shaded in. So for this model, we can tell 35 hundredths has the most shaded in. And then 3/10ths. And next would be 27 hundredths, then 25 hundredths. We can also do this by lining up our decimals. Remember, we can add a 0 at the end. It doesn't change the value. We can call it 30 hundredths, but the correct name is 3/10ths. Oops, hit that again. So they're all lined up, and then this way we can see which is bigger if we don't want to draw the model. So 35 hundredths is the biggest, 3/10ths, then 27 hundredths, and 25 hundredths. Remember that also the decimals is just like money. So we know the 35 cents would be more than 27 cents. 30 cents is more than both 25 cents and 27 cents. It's just like the money we use every day. So let's look at some problem examples. Each model below shows a decimal number. Which statement correctly compares these decimals? So we can tell this one is bigger than this one. So basically we're going to have to name our decimal first. So we have 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, then 1, 2, 3, 400. So it's 64 hundredths, and this is 1, 4, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 600. So 46 hundredths. If we lined them up, or we can tell from the picture too, that 46 hundredths is going to be smaller than 64 hundredths. So we're going to have to look at each one. This one says 46 hundredths is greater than 64 hundredths. Well, 36 hundredths, they like to throw the wrong answer in there to fool you. 36 hundredths is greater than 54 hundredths, so they have the wrong number in both of them. If one of the numbers wrong, that means that answer choice is wrong. 46 hundredths is greater than 54 hundredths. Again, we have the wrong one. And D says 46 hundredths is less than 64 hundredths. So D would be our correct answer. Let's look at number 2. Hugo caught a mayfly that is 6,300 centimeter long. Which length is longer than 6,300 centimeters? So basically we can line our numbers up by the decimal point. We want one bigger than 6,300 hundredths. So we're going to take each answer. I added a 0 to that one. Because putting a 0 at the end of the decimal does not change the value. Since I have them all lined up by the decimal point, that's the most important part of this, we can find the bigger number is right here, the 7. So 7,100 centimeter is longer than 6,300 centimeters. Let's look at number 3. Which list correctly shows 45 hundredths, 9 hundredths, 6/10, and 54 hundredths ordered from least to greatest? Now this time again we're going from the smallest to the largest. So let's line up our numbers. I'm going to add a 0 at the end so we have the same amount of digits. So we're going to looking for the smallest. We can look down our list. 9 hundredths is going to be the smallest. Remember, that's just like having 9 cents. So it's going to be less than all 3. So we can eliminate the answer choices that don't start with this one. That one is bigger, that one. And actually D is the only one that starts with 9 hundredths. Let's make sure they're all in the correct order. 4 would be the next smallest, which is here, the 5, and then the 6. So D is our correct answer. Let's look at number 4. Conrad ran 72 hundredths mile. Leon ran 59 hundredths mile, and Tricia ran 68 hundredths mile. Which number in miles is the shortest distance? So we're looking for the smallest number this time. So I wrote them out of order. Let's compare down. We always start from the left. The zeros don't count, of course. 7, 6, 5. 5 is the smallest number. So now remember, I keep talking about these gridables. If we don't put it in the grid correctly, then the answer is wrong. We're talking about a decimal point here. We have to find the decimal point in the grid, and we're going to put it right here on this side. Remember, the whole numbers are on the left, and the decimals go to the right. And then we need to make sure we bubble them in correctly. Let's look at one more question. Number 5 says use a 10 by 10 grid to answer the question, which statement is true? We're looking for something true. So 45 hundredths is less than 36 hundredths. We can draw them in, or we can line them up. Well, it's lined up with the first number. 4 is bigger than 3, so 45 hundredths is not less than 36 hundredths. 47 hundredths is greater than 9 hundredths. That one is true, because the 4 is bigger than the 0. So B would be our correct answer. Let's look at our other choices just to make sure we are correct. This is 8 hundredths and 72 hundredths. That is not correct, because 8 hundredths is less than 72 hundredths. And 5 tenths is less than 28 hundredths. We're going to add a 0 at the end just to make our digits even. But the 5 is bigger than the 2, so we know that 5 tenths is greater than 28 hundredths, so that answer is not correct. Alright, we made a change in Study Island to make it a little easier for you, because some people are getting confused on which class the assignments were listed under. So we made one big class. Thank Miss Johnson. And all our assignments are going to be under the 4th grade Super Squad. The name of today's assignment is Comparing and Ordering Decimals. As always, remember, if you have any questions, you or your parents, send me a message on Class Dojo, or send me an email. I'll answer as soon as I get it. We are going to be having more small group classes. I have one tomorrow. So if at any time tomorrow, please let me know. Thank you, and I will see you guys later.